What's up, everybody? Today we're making a bit of a different video about something that I've mentioned fleetingly a few times in Squad Builder Showdown. I wanted to sit down and make a proper video just talking to you guys about it. Now, it is going to be a bit more of a serious video, and usually when somebody does a serious video, it's because they've been part of a scandal, and it's very much... But this video is not that. It's not going to be miserable. It is going to be a little bit about my mental health, how I have got through it, what I have done. Hopefully, I am aware that I am in a bit of a prominent position, and hopefully this video can help some of you guys who might be like me 6 months ago. And this can be a little bit of a push or a little bit of advice or a little bit of help for you guys to feel better. I do want to say before we get into this video that if you are really seriously suffering, if you are considering hurting yourself or anything like that, this video is not going to be enough to help you, and I am not the person to give you advice for that level of depression. I'll put some links down in the description, but I can't cover every country in the world for every single person in the world, so there's resources out there you can Google and find you. The people that you'll speak to will have heard it 100,000 times before and won't judge you. It's perfectly normal, but you do need to go and speak to a professional. I am not the person to give that advice to you. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into what I want to talk to you guys about. I'm going to split this video into two parts. The first part is going to be just a bit of a background to myself. If you haven't watched every single Squad Builder Showdown where we go off on tangents, and you've probably managed to piece together my whole life story if you've watched all the little bits that we've talked about, but if that hasn't you, don't worry, we will go through it and I'll give you guys a little bit of a background and basically lead up to about 6 months ago where I was in a bit of a rut. I was a bit depressed, I just wasn't having a very good time, and then we'll come on to talk about what I did to come out the other side, and hopefully that will help some of you guys. Maybe if you're just interested in a bit of my life story and what's been going on, that is absolutely fine. But if you're listening to this and going to think, maybe that could actually be me, this could be a spark to help you guys out and get you feeling better and just give you that little bit of a lift and a little bit of a kickstart that maybe you possibly need. So that's what we're going to go through. I think it's very important to tell you guys that I do kind of know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this stuff. I do have a degree in psychology, but I didn't go down the path of carrying on a master's and doing clinical psychology or behavioral psychology to be able to provide people with CBT and stuff like that. That is definitely not me. Yes, I have a basic understanding of this stuff, but this is just going to be very, very general, normal advice where sometimes you just need to hear it from somebody else to make it stick in your head. And like I said, just again, to reiterate, this is for people who, yes, it is normal to feel a little bit depressed, just like it's normal to feel a little bit stressed. I'm currently stressed because we are remortgaging our house. I'm a little bit anxious about that. But I don't have an anxiety disorder. I don't need to go and seek professional advice because of that. I can just try and do a bit more exercise, try and do some yoga, go for a walk and try and reduce my cortisol levels. I don't have a stress or anxiety disorder. Like I said, if that is you with depression, this is not the video for you. This is for people who, yeah, it's normal to be a little bit depressed. It's normal to be a bit stressed. It's normal to be a bit anxious. It's good to get some advice about it. And it's also good to just be nosy about my life and my Facebook streaming deal and all sorts of stuff like that, which we are going to go through. So let's jump into it. They're taking it all the way back to, God, 2012. If you guys don't know, I was about to become a teacher. So I went to uni, I studied psychology. I was going to become a psychology teacher, mostly because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself. And that was kind of just a stopgap or a means to an end. My old psychology teacher offered me a job and said, we're getting loads of new students next year. We need a new teacher. You've come in, and I was doing like being a teaching assistant and stuff like that and just getting some work experience and stuff. She's like, you're really good at it. Would you like to come and be a teacher? You can teach 4 days and go and get your PGCE, the qualification, the masters that you need to be a teacher, on a Friday. You can just go to uni one day and you can study alongside having an actual job. And I was like, yes, quality, that is amazing. I'm going to do that. And then she rang me up like 3 days before term was due to start and said, really sorry, all the kids failed the GCSEs and didn't get into college. Psychology's in A-level in the UK, if you didn't know. You do now have to go to college until you're 18. You have to do something. You didn't back then. I am quite old. You didn't have to go to college. You could leave school at 16. And all the kids failed and didn't get into college and they didn't need another teacher. So I was kind of out of luck, for want of a better phrase. So what I did, I was running my YouTube channel on the side. I got 50,000 subs, and I decided I'd give myself a gap year, like some of my mates had before uni, after uni, and I would focus on YouTube and see whether I could turn that into a job instead. And spoiler, here we are, 10 years later. Yes, I have. It has gone very, very well for me. And what that did is it kind of lit a fire under my arse where I was like, I am going to do this. And I think it was 18 months later, I went from 50,000 subs to 1 million subs, which, shout out to me, that is mental. Now, you guys might be looking and thinking, well, what happened to the last 7 years? Well, yeah, I have 1.6, getting on for 1.7 million subs now, I think, and it's slowed down a lot. And basically what happened, And I was reading a sports psychology book quite recently, and I won't go too deep into it, but basically the guy was talking about having a dream and something to focus on. And that is what I had. I wanted 1 million subs. So I focused all of my attention and all of my work and all of my everything on that is what I'm going to do. And then I got it. And I'd achieved my dream. And at that point, I didn't really know what to do. And just kind of started coasting. And don't get me wrong, like, my channel's still very good. It's still very successful. I'm going to big myself up a little bit. I can still upload videos and get 250, 300,000 views. And we're in July of the FIFA cycle. When the new FIFA comes out and we do Squad the Show and Advent Calendar, we get like 300,000-400,000 views every other day, which is mental. My channel's still really, really good and I'm still very proud of myself. But I've kind of just been coasting for like the last 4 or 5 years and just chilling and just, I don't have something that I've been focused on as that is what I want to do. So I've just been coasting along. Facebook then come along and I had actually just picked something new and it was streaming. And I don't know if you guys have watched my streams. And again, I'm going to be confident and big myself up. My Twitch streams are actually quite good. Like, we used to do some funny stuff with the green screens. If you haven't seen the clip where I cut my own hair, that is like, it took me ages to make and I absolutely loved making it and I was very proud of it. And that was my thing. I was going to be amazing at streaming and I put all this effort into it. People loved it. The chat was going crazy. We were getting like thousands and thousands of viewers. I was really, really enjoying it. And then Facebook come along and offered me an absolutely stupid amount of money. I don't want to go too much into the fine details because A, it's not really any of your guys' business, but B, it's also not really very, very relevant. Like, they were paying me basically as much as I was making off my YouTube channel on top of me making stuff for my YouTube channel. So it was crazy. They would basically come to me and said, would you like to double your money overnight? And I was like, this seems a little bit silly to say no to. This is like, okay, yes, your channel might be doing good, but in 5 years' time, you might be completely irrelevant and not making any money anymore. Whereas these are now saying, but for these next few years, you can double the amount of money that you're making and save it all and invest it all, pay off your house, you've got somewhere to live. And I was like, okay, I kind of got to do this, haven't I? This is a bit ridiculous. So I took it and I stopped my Twitch stream, which is what I was absolutely loving doing and trying to focus on and be the best possible UK FIFA. I wanted to turn it into a variety stream that I could possibly be and went and did Facebook streaming instead. At the same time as this happening, that is when COVID happened and we went into lockdown and stuff like that. So lockdown affected a lot of people. And I was talking to Katie about this video and she said basically put people into a perpetual cycle of bad habits. So there was nothing to do. Everywhere was closed. So you'd just sit on the couch and then you're not doing anything. So you'd feel tired. So you'd go to bed late and you'd sleep in and then you'd feel more tired because there was nothing to do. So then you'd sleep in more and you'd do no exercise and then you'd eat junk because you couldn't be bothered to cook because you felt tired because you hadn't done that. And it was just endless and round and round and round. And that was lockdown for everyone. Put on top of that was the fact that at this point, I didn't have Harry edit my videos. So I was editing all my videos. I was still filming all my videos. So I was still doing a full-time job. And I then took on another full-time job on top of that. So I had all my YouTube stuff, which contrary to popular belief, it's not a hard job. It's a fun job. It's not physically taxing. I'm not like a plasterer or a bricklayer or a labourer or something like that. But it's a lot of work. Like, it's non-stop all the time. You never switch your mind off. It's not particularly difficult. You're not knackered from doing it physically, but you'll be mentally drained from doing it. And it's like 24 hours a day, every single day from when you wake up to when you... Anyway, that's irrelevant. I was doing all that anyway, and now I had to stream 40 hours a week on Facebook, which again, it's not particularly difficult. I just sit here and play games and talk to the chat. But again, it's mentally draining, and it wasn't what I wanted to do at all. You can't be that level of creative that I wanted to be to make good Twitch streams and to make good streams in general with all this mad green screen stuff and having fun and interacting with the chat and playing different games and just being really animated and excited. That is knackering. You can do it for about 2 or 3 hours. I had to do 8 hours a day every single day for Facebook, and it's just not realistic. You cannot do that. So I ended up just sitting here, just sort of just playing games. Oh, start at 9. Yeah, I'll be done at 6. Get up tomorrow. Do the same thing. Edit my video before I started streaming. Finish editing after I started streaming. I'd be at my computer 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. Go to bed. Get up. Do the same thing the next. And it just, again, spiraled and spiraled and spiraled until I was really, really depressed and I had to ask to be out of my Facebook contract, which is a lesson in itself that money doesn't make you happy. I think it's an interesting phrase. Money definitely stops you from having certain stresses and woes and worries, but having the money doesn't necessarily guarantee that you will be happy. So that's a very interesting lesson for you guys. But that is essentially how I got to where I was. I was really, really not enjoying my life in general. I would just get up and spend 16 hours a day sat in this computer. I've got a horrendous back from it. I got sciatica all down my leg because I was just sat in a chair for 16 hours a day. I wasn't being creative. I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. I still had to do my YouTube because I felt like I had to, because that was my actual job. This Facebook thing was just on the side, and I hated doing it and would just sit there and play any games I could to get the hours done. But I still needed to try and make myself do my YouTube videos, and it just wasn't good. And I just ended up being the most miserable that I have ever been and the most depressed that I have ever been in my life. So that is the backstory. That is how we got to where I was 6 months ago now, where after I finished the Squad Builder Show and Advent Calendar, I always have a little bit of a break because it's a crazy month just of YouTube. But I was doing the Squad Builder Show and Advent Calendar, and I was also doing 40 hours a week, or I had to stream 160 hours in December as well. So that was mental. So as soon as December finished, I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. And that was like 6 months ago now. I then did get COVID and 2 chest infections, which was great. Nice one. Thank you, body. But I think that was the come down from COVID, maybe not. It's just horrendously contagious, isn't it? But I'd been stressed for like 18 months, 12 months, and then all of a sudden I was like, and I think that was what just ruined my immune system, made me really tired, and made me really sick. So I had a few months where I just wasn't particularly healthy. I was feeling a lot better mentally, but I wasn't particularly healthy. And then in the last like 4 months, when I've really, really started to feel a lot better. And that's what we're going to talk about now. So the question is then, what did I do? How did I do it? What was it that I changed that made me feel a lot better? Now, there's a few different things, and we will talk through them, and I've got it written down, and I'm going to try and keep it succinct, but the overarching main one is fitness, exercise, getting out the house, moving your body, and doing stuff. And it's actually probably the hardest one, because it's a conscious choice from you to say that I am not going to be depressed anymore. I am going to have better mental health. And that kind of sounds a little bit counterintuitive to a lot of the messaging that goes out nowadays about mental health, because it is perfectly normal and very, very common to have mental health issues, just as it's perfectly normal to catch a cold or a chest infection and to have physical health issues. That's fine. It's perfectly fine to talk about it. It's perfectly fine to do it. The thing is, though, yes, it's okay to be like that, but you can do something about it yourself. And the hardest part is because it's your mental health and it's a mental decision. It's a conscious thought that you have to have. It's very, very difficult to do it without someone giving you a kick up the arse sometimes, basically, which is what hopefully this video is going to be for a lot of you guys. It's what that book that I read was for me. That sounds mental. Like I said, that doesn't sound like the usual messaging that you get about mental health. And that's because it's sort of not contradicting itself. It's just a different positive message. Yes, it's fine to be depressed. It's fine to have anxiety. It's fine to be stressed. Just in the same way as it's fine to catch a cold or it's fine to get the flu, because you didn't do that on purpose. Like, there's nothing wrong with the fact that you've done that. There's nothing wrong with the fact that you're depressed or got anxiety or stressed or anything like that. That's absolutely fine. But just like with having a chest infection or the flu, you can go and get antibiotics for your chest infection. You can go and get some cold medicine or paracetamol or something to make your head feel better with the flu. You can make sure you're nice and hydrated. You can make sure you get lots of rest, because that's how your body recovers. There's things that you can do. Well, yes, it's not your fault that you've got a cold, but there's things you can do to make it better. It's not your fault that you're depressed, but there's things that you can do that will help your depression. Now, like I said at the start of this video, this doesn't apply to everyone. I am not a clinical psychologist. I am just a guy giving you some personal advice from my own experience. Yes, there is some things where when you've got a physical problem, you need to go to the hospital and get yourself some proper serious treatment from people who actually know what they're doing, from doctors. There is the same thing with your mental health as well. There will be people who this isn't for, and you do need to go and see a professional, and I would encourage you to do that. But there's a lot of people that are like me, where you're just a bit depressed, you're in a rut, you've got some anxiousness, you've got some stress, whatever it may be in your life, and there's things that you can do yourself that you can make that conscious choice to essentially do things that will make you feel better. The biggest one is exercise. There's also that thing that I talked about with that book about having a dream. Picking a goal and picking a really, really big goal. Don't pick something like, so for me, my one that I've currently picked, I'll tell you guys, is to get to 10 million views a month on YouTube, which seems ridiculous. When I was telling Harry, he was like, why not 7? That seems more realistic. No, it's not about realistic. It's about having something to focus on. Like when I had 50,000 subs, I didn't say I want to get 100,000 subs. I said I want to get 1 million subs. And I did it. So you got to pick big. Yeah, you can put little goals that are going to help you get there, but you need that big thing in your life. So there's that. there is keeping yourself active. And we've talked about the Nun study in a Squad Builder Showdown. If you didn't watch that and you're wondering what it is, it's a very famous now longitudinal study where they essentially study nuns because they are old. And they get studied from the age of, I think, 75 until death. I would encourage you guys to go and read about it if you're interested in the proper science. I'm not going to like cite it on the screen and stuff like that. Just Google nun study. It's very colloquially and very famously known as that. I think it's Snowden et al., but that's beyond me. That doesn't really matter too much. The takeaway for you guys from it is that keeping your mind active and keeping your body active is the best way to keep your body healthy, of course, but to keep your mental health. They focused on dementia, but it's the same thing for depression, for everything. We all know that doing exercise makes us feel good, but when we don't feel good, it's very hard to go and do exercise, which is hopefully what this video will be for you guys. Get yourself a little routine, get yourself a thing that you've got to do. I got a dog, which really helped me. I'm not telling everyone to go out and get a dog, but we have to walk him an hour every morning and an hour every night. That was unreal for me, for getting me out of that first stage. But pick something. Katie picked last October that she was going to do a Peloton class every single day, and she did it. I picked in February that I was going to do a yoga class every single day, and I did it. Tell to yourself, I'm going to go for a 45-minute walk every single day, and just do it. Don't say, oh, I've got things to do. I've just got home from work. Oh, I need to do the what? No, doing the washing, sitting on the couch, doing whatever. That is not as important as your health. Go and do it. Trust me. So that is the biggest thing. It's got to be a conscious choice from you to yourself that you are going to make yourself feel better, and you're going to do things that are going to make yourself feel better. You can't sit there and think, I feel better now. That's not a thing. You have to do things that will make you feel better, and exercise is the biggest one. And I think this is very colloquial, and this is very just from my own experience. A lot of people, when they're doing exercise, will do it and think, this doesn't feel good. This just feels horrendous. You've got to find that part of your brain that lets you push through your mental barrier of saying, I need to stop. My lungs hurt. This is sore. My legs are aching. Stop walking and just go home. Stop running. You need to push through that. Push through, it's called the wall, isn't it? Push through the physical wall as well. And once you get through that and you finish, you'll feel so good about yourself. And that'll make you feel absolutely amazing, and turn that into routines, and you'll feel so much better. So the way I like to think about it with my terrible, terrible art is, if this is your physical health and this is your mental health, fitness is like a reservoir of water above it. If you haven't got enough fitness to get to those little pipes, you're not getting any goodness, any water going to your physical and mental health. If you get fitter and fitter and fitter and fitter and fitter, the more that's in there, the more exercise you do, the more activity you have, the better you will feel, the more water you'll get in your physical and mental health. That is a little analogy of how I like to think of it, as how that overarching thing affects your physical and your mental well-being. And it's not just keeping physically active, it's keeping mentally active as well. That Nun study talked about journaling, but it's the point of it is keeping their brains active, doing something with their brains. My grandma, bless her, is like 80 odd, and she's always in hospital, and she was in hospital like 5 years ago and almost died, and she doesn't move out of her flat. She just sits in her chair all day. She just watches the telly all day. She doesn't do absolutely anything, whereas my next door neighbours are the same age as her and play golf 3 times a week. And the reason for that is, when they were young, they kept themselves fit, and they still keep themselves fit through their 50s, through their 60s, through their 70s, through their 80s. Whereas my grandma's fitness just declined and declined and declined. Now she's getting dementia. Now she can't walk properly. Now she barely gets out of her seat. And obviously there's other biological things impacting that. But a massive part of it is literally her fitness levels. Being overweight, not being healthy, not eating healthy, not doing exercise regularly. All of them things compound everything. So this is your guys' prompt whilst you're young, presumably. Probably. Can't imagine as many 70-year-olds who watch these videos, but you never know. Even if you are, it doesn't matter what age you are. The best time to start was yesterday. The current best time is now. It's a very cliched thing to say, but honestly, do it. Invest in yourself. And like I said, it's a very difficult thing to consciously do. To get yourself out of that rut is very, very difficult. But take this from me. Use this video as the starting point of, you are going to do it. And this is going to be the thing that you do. And you're going to have an amazing end to the year, because you're going to get out. You're going to do something. You're going to pick a new passion project. You're going to pick a new hobby. You're going to build something. You're going to do something. You're going to go on a run. You're going to go on a walk. You're going to start walking, build up to running. You're going to join the gym. You're going to go swimming 4 times a week. Anything like that. Challenge yourself with it. Don't just be, oh, I'm going to go swimming once a week. Go swimming 4 times a week. Go swimming 5 times a week. Build up to your own swimming every night after work, and you will feel amazing. Trust me. That is the big takeaway from this video. That is what I did. That is what has happened to me. I have started getting fitter and fitter and fitter. I'm trying to get healthier, tracking my calories, eating healthy. There's so many things on top of it, but all of it comes from just a conscious thought to yourself where you want to be better. And in doing so, that will help so much, and that will trickle down and help not just your physical health, but your mental health.